Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Host Eddie Frederick.
So glad you can join us. A Trinidadian Judge of Indian heritage receives one of India's highest honors. This story takes the lead in today's edition of Caribbean Perspective for Wednesday, 4th January 2023. Details when we return.
Win prizes weekly with the Dutch Lady Christmas promotion. You can win hampers, kitchen appliances, and much more. Here's how to win. Visit our Facebook and Instagram pages weekly to retrieve the recipe. Follow the recipe. Submit the final dish via email at dlchristmaspromotion@gmail.com, along with proof of purchase of Dutch Lady UHT or 410 evaporated milk. Recipes will be judged based on the display. Winners will be selected each week to battle for the grand prize in a live cooking show hosted by the creative chef. Look out for the Dutch Lady Santa Claus at supermarkets island-wide. The promotion runs from November 16th to December 21st, 2022. And once again, we'd like to congratulate the winner of last year's Dutch Lady Christmas promotion, Miss Brianna Bihari. Dutch Lady Milk, proudly distributed by Hubbard's Agency.
Welcome back. A Trinidadian High Court judge, Frank C. Prasad, has been honored by India with its highest award bestowed to a non-resident. Here is more from TV6 News with Urvashi Tawari Rupnarayan.
High Court Judge Frank C. Prasad is to be conferred with one of India's highest awards given to persons of Indian origin. The Pravasi Bharatiya Divas is the flagship event of India's Ministry of External Affairs and is held annually in recognition of the contribution of Indians abroad and to engage and connect with the overseas Indian community. The PBD was established in 2003 and awards have since been given to some 136 persons, including 5 from this country. Former Prime Ministers Bastio Pandey and Kamla Prasad Bisasa, former Central Bank Governor Winston Dukaran, Dr. Lenny Saith, former parliamentarian and engineer, and the National Council for Indian Culture. This year's event is being held under the theme Diaspora, Reliable Partners for India's Progress in Amrit Kal. Justice C. Prasad was called to the bar in 1996 and remained in active practice until his 2012 appointment as a judge of the Supreme Court of TNT. As a judge, he has presided over many a groundbreaking matter, including the breach of confidence matter resulting from the alleged posting of intimate photos by cricketer Lendl Simmons, the Thema Williams matter, and the recent setting aside of the arbitration award against NIDCO. C. Prasad, a former president of the Assembly of Southern Lawyers, says the bestowing of the award is both unexpected and welcomed. Crediting the honor to the opportunities afforded to him, C. Prasad says, quote, "Standing side by side with my brothers of every creed and race, I have benefited not only from my rich ancestral traditions, but from the diversity of experiences and the free world-class education which I have received in this blessed country," end quote. The international recognition, he says, is a reminder that in this republic, with faith, honesty, discipline, tolerance, and production, all things are truly possible. The PBS will be led off by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, with another awardee, the President of Guyana, Mohammed Irfan Ali, as chief guest. Justice C. Prasad will be traveling to Madhya Pradesh in early January to receive his award, which will be presented by the President of India, Draupadi Murmu. Urvashi Tawari Rupnarayan, TV6 News.
A murderous start to 2023 in Port of Spain. Before the first 24 hours were registered, the country recorded its first double murder. TV6 News has more.
A barrage of gunshots see the close of the first day of 2023. Maloney resident emerged to a scene far too familiar in countless communities throughout TNT. It's January 1st, just about 9:30. Murders 4 and 5 are registered. Police say a group of men was liming in a poorly lit section of the car park in Maloney near to building number 6 when a vehicle pulled up alongside them. Several armed men alighted the vehicle and began shooting in the direction of the limers. The assailants got back into their vehicle and escaped. Residents exited their homes to find motionless 27-year-old Christopher Williams, aka One Foot, and another man only identified as Ezekiel. The country's first double murder. The duo lived where they died at building number 6 Maloney Gardens, Dabadie. Police have listed the motive for their deaths as gang-related, with the men labeled members of the Rasta City gang. A third man, 30-year-old Denzel Cummings of building number 7, was injured in the hail of gunfire, sustaining a gunshot wound to his left arm and a laceration to his forehead. Police eventually processed the scene to find 29 spent shells. The murder toll for 2023 is 5, as 2022 closed off as the most murderous in the country's history. Acting top cop Ulla Christopher a few days ago said our greatest vulnerabilities are gang ideals and the availability of firearms. She adds community policing will continue to play a vital role in dismantling the gang culture and enticing some of our nation's youth. Meanwhile, in his New Year's message, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley acknowledged the ever-present growth of gang activity in TNT and committed his government to making 2023 a year of public review and consequent overhaul and redoubling of efforts to combat negative ills in society. Prime Minister Rowley said the year would start off with a series of public conversations followed by interventions. Urvashi Tiwari, Rupnarayan, TV6 News.
In other news, a Canadian arrested in the Bahamas on drug charges.
Between the Royal Bahamas Police Force and Bahamas Customs, resulting in the arrest of a 34-year-old Canadian man who was caught with 149 pounds of suspected marijuana Wednesday afternoon. Airport police and officers from Bahamas Customs conducted a search of the Canadian's luggage and discovered the drugs. The Canadian was subsequently arrested. The drugs have an estimated street value of $300,000.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. The Minister of National Security there, Wayne Munro, says officials are focused on preventing the prisons from becoming a school for criminals. ZNS News has more.
The Minister of National Security, the Honorable Wayne Munro, says officials are focused on preventing prison from becoming a school for criminals. He says with the majority of prisoners eventually released back into society, it's important not to add to the recidivism rate and work towards reforming. In his own career, the Minister of National Security says he's seen individuals who were incarcerated for minor crimes recruited into gangs within the walls of the prison, get released and graduate to more serious crimes.
Moving to seek to be accredited as a correctional institution. The concept of a correctional institution is to correct your behavior, to correct the behavior that brought you to the institution. And so we're moving to improve the conditions so that you can't have somebody with influence being able to recruit people because he can get them water, because he can get them food, things that they should have anyway, that he can keep them safe. They should be safe anyway. These are the tools that are being used to recruit people in our prisons to street gangs.
Munro says it's also crucial to prepare prisoners for life after prison. He says if they went into prison marginal, convicted individuals are then released with a disadvantage. To this end, Munro says officials are looking to upskill them to provide them with skills to assimilate into society.
They're starting now to reintroduce the classification, to introduce the training at the moment. I'm trying to encourage the agencies to work together. And so we have a police garage that perhaps we can use that as a vehicle for training inmates for mechanical servicing. And the commissioner and his team are very driven.
Former St. Kitts and Nevis Prime Minister Dr. Timothy Harris was harsh on St. Kitts and Nevis' 2023 national budget. Glenn Bart of SKN Newsline reports.
Dr. Timothy Harris, the immediate former Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, was critical of the 2023 national budget passed in the National Assembly of St. Kitts and Nevis during the December 2022 budget debate sit-in. Dr. Harris made comments on the budget when he was a recent guest on the radio talk show Straight Talk, hosted by socio-political commentator Ian Patches-Libert, himself a former Minister of Government in the first term of the Harris-led Team Unity political coalition. Harris said the budget was lacking in inspiration, among other considerations of which he spoke.
If we start from the standpoint of public accountability, national development, we would want a budget that provides guidance, support, inspired, coordinated national action, and the priorities identified for the upcoming year. And clearly, in this regard, we had a budget that fell short at many scores. Certainly, when one listened to the budget presentation, we had a focus more on hearsay and melee rather than substantive issues. And in a real sense, the budget proved itself to be incoherent. There was a lot of patchwork, as it were, cut and paste here and there, taking ideas from my administration, and that is good and well because governments are continuous, but at the same time, a calculated effort to almost deny that there was an existence of a government before the coming into being of the new Labour administration. And that is fortunate, that is a retrogressive stand to have been taken. And we saw that calculated effort to appropriate all the good things done by my administration, continue a number of programs, and yet at the same time, for them to seem to want to pursue a line that before their coming, there was nothing happening in the country. So we saw the stark dishonesty.
According to the former Prime Minister, he was unable to speak on the budget because the Minister of Finance moved an early motion for the closure of the debate and for the subsequent voting on the 2023 budget. Glenn Bart reporting for SKN Newsline.
The Food Fair Shop and Win promotion is back, better than ever. We are giving away $30,000 in prizes with the promotional activities you know and love, like find the misplaced items, spin the wheel, and other exciting in-store activities. You can win hams, turkeys, vouchers, cooking gas from Sol, and lunch packages from the Creative Chef. The promotion runs from November 16th to December 23rd, 2022. Food Fair, where you can fill your baskets without emptying your pockets.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.